But hey, what I think I like to think that this studio lighting makes you and I both got the nice grays coming in, you know. I like to think that it like highlights those a little bit better, but makes us look good on camera as well.
But it looks very professional in here. I don't know if it's going to make me look
We'll
good on
see
camera.
how professional it is once we start talking.
The worse your camera, the better I'll look.
Hey guys, Alex Rich.
Ben Corimba.
Hey, we are excited to let you know that we have episodes of our podcast, Jews in the Lou, dropping every other week, and you're not going to want to miss. We have some great guests lined up.
Amazing. And while I have you, I want to thank the St. Louis Jewish Light for their incredible partnership and support of our podcast. St. Louis Jewish Light doing amazing work for our community, keeping us informed with stories, with updates.
And visit stljewishlight.org. Subscribe to their newsletter. They'll keep you up to date on everything going on.
Absolutely. Well, see you soon.
All right, so we just go right into it. We don't have a cool intro or anything at all, but I appreciate you sitting down for Jews in the Lou with me. We've got Jordan Kadosh sitting down and chatting with us today. Did I say the last name right?
Yeah. That's how I pronounce it.
That's what I thought.
Just like in the book.
Kadosh,
Yes.
Kadosh.
Yeah, I used to hear that one in day school.
That was the joke that they did with you?
Sure, that's funny.
Okay,
if you're like
fair
8,
enough.
you know.
You have an interesting role. You have a very interesting role, I think, and an incredibly important role. And our phones will go off here, but if it does, feel free to answer, whatever. But you are the regional director for the ADL. Is that correct?
That's my title.
Okay. Talk about a little bit. We'll start with what the ADL does, but then I want to backtrack and then go into your background, how you even get associated with that. Because I think it's important to have you here with us to talk about what the ADL does, because there's a lot of people that don't have any idea who you guys are, what you guys do, and you're incredibly important.
ADL was founded in 1913. The mission statement from back then it's still our mission today. It's the same thing, right? So it's to stop the defamation of the Jewish people, secure justice, fair treatment to all. Like back then, like it's like 10 lawyers sitting in a room in Chicago. They're writing letters to the editor of major newspapers telling him like the cartoon in the Sunday Funnies was anti-Semitic. Right. And would you please stop that? We find it offensive. These days, it's a lot bigger organization. It's a lot more complex. But when you boil it all down, like it's a big place. But when you boil it all down, we do 3 things. It's protect, educate, and advocate. So how do we keep our community safe, like throughout the region and throughout the world? How do we not just get that message out, the public education, but how do we become a provider for our institutions? So we have like teens that go through our Words to Actions program when they're appropriate age in Sunday school, right? How do we get Holocaust education taught in schools? Because we know that it has a very serious effect on what people believe when they grow up about Jews. So protect and educate. And then we have our advocacy bucket. And it can look a lot like public policy, right? We do a fair amount of advocacy in the public policy arena, but the object of the advocacy, the person you're advocating to, can be anyone you need it to be. It can be a government. It could be a university administration, right? It could be your local school board. And so the muscle that you build to make all of that happen can look the same, but the content and the target of the advocacy, those can look a lot different depending on what's going on in the world.
How much, well, I want to get into the education piece of it, but talk about specific, like, I guess you can get as specific as you can, but like examples where, the ADL would get a call to come in and whether it's an investigation or whatever that look like, how does that conversation start?
If you go to adl.org, like on our website, we have an incident reporting form. So you can report an incident of anti-Semitism, bias, bigotry, discrimination of any kind.
Okay.
You can use our old school form, or you can use our brand new like AI chatbot,
right? And
like have a conversation with it and tell it what happened to you, right, or to someone you know.
Sure.
And then, so if you do that and you live in the Heartland region, so ADL Heartland's based here in St. Louis, but we cover Missouri, Southern Illinois, from Champaign down to Cairo, all the way out through Eastern Kansas. If you do that, like I'll get an email, right? Like it'll alert
every
regional
office.
Report,
like you're going to get that.
So that if something's going on locally, like we can jump right in if we need to, but it goes through a process. But we're aware of what's happening right away. And then here, like in St. Louis, where we're sitting, there's our community security apparatus is run by the Jewish Federation. It's a partner organization. We work very closely together. My joke, you know Scott over there?
Oh yeah.
My joke about Scott is that if you want to see the largest collection of swastikas outside of the Holocaust Museum in St. Louis, it's in our text thread.
Yeah.
Right? So we're in very close coordination.
Yeah.
And like, I think we could probably do with our class now. It's like, we know which light pole is going to, like, if it's defaced, like who needs to respond to what, right?
No kidding.
And so we have a way of working here in St. Louis for our community. And then different communities have different needs and they have different resources available for them. So that's going to look different in a different community in Missouri, like Columbia or Springfield or St. Joseph or something like that. Like it's going to look a lot different than what we have here in St. Louis. But what you can rest assured is that ADL has one unified reporting system. We're going to see everything that comes through and that we have a way of working with each community that's good for that community.
Is there a program in place where, because the reality is, right, like not everybody knows or is going to go onto your website, know exactly where to go to fill that out. Is there, like, you're working with local police? Are you working with local schools where, like, if there's an incident at a school, the people that it happens to don't individually themselves go on and fill this out, but working with the different schools or police out there, are they the ones that are also informing you about this? Or is it strictly like it happens to this person and this is what needs to be filled out?
So partnerships are a really valuable aspect of the work.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's probably important to separate the two things you were asking about, like a police department versus a school. So like, a lot of times we'll already have a relationship with a school through our No Place for Hate program.
Okay.
Or some other established way of working with a school. And so if something happens, like, for example, I think a really public one, Afton High School was defaced a little while back.
Sure.
That whole district participates in the No Place for Hate program. So we were one of their first phone calls.
They had already been participating.
Yeah, they were already signed up, right? And they do a fantastic job. And we were one of the first phone calls. Is we have this No Place for Hate program.
Sure.
We were the victim of what turned out to be a hate crime,
right?
And who's your first call going to be on that one? It's not only is it ADL for the subject matter, but we already have an existing relationship, right? And so we're able to provide all those education resources for the district for how they communicate with their own community.
Sure. Okay.
We're not intervening in between their, the administration and their community. We want to be able to back that community up while they process this horrible thing that happened. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was just in the papers recently that like that entire from start to finish that somebody had pled guilty and that, is sentenced to parole or something like that.
Now is the ultimate goal for you that, or what's
they're not all crimes, right? And so like in that instance, like there's some overlap, right? There was an investigation, there was a criminal, it turned out to be a criminal activity. But like, they're not all crimes. Sometimes somebody can be a victim of anti-Semitism.
Totally.
Like a slur will get shouted at them or something like that, right? So you can, you're free in America to believe awful things and to express that opinion.
But that doesn't mean there's not, just because it's not an actual crime doesn't mean that you guys can't be there to help support
the impacted individual.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which I think is incredible that you are the resource that a lot of people don't know exists. Cause like you just talked about, I think before we sat down, you're not really like out in the public necessarily like promoting yourself all the time. A lot of times you're kind of behind the scenes, right?
I mean, we've never really been accused of being shy, but I appreciate it. On a good day when it works, a good day is nothing happens.
Sure.
Right. And so
and how many of those do you get?
Not very many anymore.
Yeah.
But like, when the system works well, we're backing up that school. We're not going into the school and saying something was done wrong. Right. It's when you really see us out front, it means that there's something has really gone wrong. Like not just one thing's gone wrong, but several things have gone wrong.
So you see trends? like, you're talking about this isn't necessarily just a one-off. Some of them are one-off incidences, but do you like see a trend as far as like the things that you're dealing with of like a lot of commonality? Obviously the commonality is anti-Semitism, but like beyond that, are there any commonalities outside of that with the, I don't know the best way to ask it, but like the groups of people that you're working with, or the incidences, or are they just kind of all over the place? Like, like you said, from name calling to vandalism to what are the extremes, I guess, on both sides that you're working with?
So, I mean, we have a particular expertise in dealing with anti-Semitism. Obviously, that intersects with a lot of different types of bias,
Right.
and bigotry and hatred and extremism. Every year, we publish an audit of the anti-Semitic incidents that come in. So that's like an annual report you'll see from us, usually around the springtime, however long it takes to compile and make sure it's right. And so this past spring, we released the numbers for 2025. And I think that it's probably fair to say a couple of things about 2025, which is we're still at like double the levels from pre-October 7th, right? We've seen a slight drop off, and that's good. We shouldn't take it for granted.
Sure.
But it's still thousands and thousands of incidents across the country. Like, it's still double where we were from October 7th, before October 7th. That's way too many.
So that increase was from October 7th was drastic.
It had been like on a rising simmer for 5 years, and then it literally just overwhelmed everything. We had to we make a chart, we publish a chart, we made a bigger chart, right? Like there is no more room.
Sure.
And you can see it's starting to come down a little bit, which again, we shouldn't take for granted. But there's a lot more work to do. We're still at double where we were before, and it had been on a high simmer for several years at that point. So you can see that trend where like the sheer volume of incidents is so high. And then you can also see in 2025 across the country, at least, it was a violent year. Right. It was a violent year for Jewish people in America. There were 3 murders. There was a march for the hostages in Boulder, Colorado. That was firebombed with fatality. There were 2 murders at the Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. And one of the victims there, Sarah Milgram, and her fiance, Sarah, was from Kansas City, right? Like, this is not a far away thing where nobody knew her. Like, this is someone everyone knew. Right. And so, like, it was a particularly violent year. People who are visibly identified as Jewish are assaulted at just ever increasing rates. And they're the ones that are most frequently targeted. And something we have to put squarely on the table about those numbers was that 45% of the incidents, I mean, across vandalisms, assaults, harassment, 45% of them are somehow related to Israel or Zionism. Sure. Right. And so this is not when we say that this is a problem, we're bringing receipts, right? We're showing exactly where the problem is. Right. And this happens to people in public. As the number one place that you might see or experience an anti-Semitic incident would be in a public place. Right. And then we see this in targeting our Jewish institutions. You go to the J, you go to Temple, whatever it is. We see targeting Jewish institutions. And then we see this in K-12 schools. And so we talk about the example of like a high school here in St. Louis, right? We see this in K-12 schools. That's the 3rd most frequent place. It has surpassed the campus incidents that we all saw from the protests and everything.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy, but like, I guess let's be real for a second. It's not that crazy for us as Jews to understand and experience this, right? I tell a lot of people, we talk about this a lot on this show, is like, I was the first Jewish person a lot of people met at college, or like several times along life. It's like a lot of people just have no idea. Like, they've never known a Jewish person, been close to a Jewish person. Have you had anything like that?
I was the first Jewish person someone met last week, right?
It's unbelievable.
He was very excited,
right?
And it was lovely, but like, it's not surprising. We're like 2% of the population.
Sure.
And we feel like there's a lot of Jews in America,
right?
But like, compared to the size of the U.S. population, it's just not a lot of us. we can't, there's not enough of us to shake enough hands
No doubt.
for everyone to be like, oh, you're not so bad.
And that's and I think that is exactly why we do this, and talking with Jewish people in St. Louis, Jewish people that are coming to St. Louis or have moved here. Are you originally from St. Louis?
Yeah, originally from St. Louis. I lived here 3 times.
Okay.
Love it here.
3 different times, and then
Yeah.
you went away and came back. You love it that much.
It keeps pulling me back every time.
Was
Didn't
there-
have a choice the first time.
Okay. Fair. But have you always been with the ADL? I guess talk about how do you take us back to even childhood, like growing up. Were there things as a child that you remember where you thought, oh, I this is what you see yourself doing one day to advocate for Jewish
No.
people?
Not
Like,
a slice.
What was that like? Like, talk about everything you did building up to where you're at.
Everything I did.
Not everything. Give us the synopsis, though.
Prior to this, I was in the textile recycling industry. So I was
Okay.
in the private sector. So this was a jump. But it had a little bit of overlap with that. And before that, I used to work on political campaigns. That
Okay.
was also interesting. But I think like the part that I would relate, probably 2 things that were more formative. Why this work is personally meaningful is one is that I went to an Orthodox Jewish day school growing up down in Dallas, Texas, for elementary school, and so it's a sheltered environment
Mhm.
intentionally.
Sure.
And when you exit that environment, you're told certain things like careful about this. This might be how you're treated. And sometimes you get out into the real world and you're like, oh my God, my rabbi was right. This is what happened. Right. Like, and so you have that kind of revelatory experience.
Yeah.
And the second one is I went to a magnet school down there for high school the first couple of years. And being in an environment where nobody was a majority,
Mhm.
or
Interesting.
like there were quotas
Sure.
about who was allowed in. So nobody was in the majority. That was a formative experience about like how you interact with people who you literally, I think there was 2,400 kids in that school. There were 4 Jews.
Okay.
Right. And so you're already doing it. Like you're already representing everybody because there's no one's ever met that Jew before.
Yes.
Right. Like,
yes. That's funny you say that, because I feel like on a daily basis, we are representing our people. And that's why it's important. Like, I think what you do is incredibly important because you're advocating for the Jewish people. I feel like these conversations that we had or that we have advocate for the Jewish people. And that's what I hope to get out of this. And it really is amazing when you think about, when you really get to know, a lot of people didn't know that half of our guests have been Jewish, right? And it's like, for some people, yes, because of all the hate that's out there, their thoughts or whatever they may have to think about that person may change a little bit. Hopefully they feel stronger about them and have a better connection and understand that that's what makes people who they are, their religion, their faith, those different types of things. But on the other side of things, like even on our page, I'm sure I could keep you busy probably for a week with some of the comments that we get sometimes. And that, unfortunately, is the world that we're living in. I mean, how does social media over the years, how long have you been in your role at the ADL now?
just over 4 years.
Okay. So social media, I think even in the last 4 years, has grown drastically. How have you seen just even your own personal experiences before working with the ADL? How have you seen like the shift in social media and the growth of social media and all those different things help? I guess help's not a good word, but I'm going to use the word help with the increase of the anti-Semitism that contribute, I guess would be a better word. How have you seen that contributes?
I mean, in the last several years, I think what we're looking at, we're looking at 2 different aspects of it.
Mhm.
We're looking at production and then we're looking at distribution.
Yep.
Right. So on the production side, like anybody with a laptop now can just keep it cracked open while it cranks out video after video.
Right.
My Instagram feed is just awful. Right.
Right.
Like it's just full of
nonsense.
reptile people and but like just all kinds of weird, right?
Sure.
And where does it even come from? And it's like I don't bring it up by chance. Like we our affiliate JLens and our Center for Technology decided that like released a report about content moderation on Instagram.
Sure.
That they get to 7% of the stuff that's flagged. And 93% of it gets let go, right? So you have the fact that this stuff can just be AI generated now and shoved right out there.
Yes.
And then into this pipeline where it's no longer about who you follow, right? It's about
Totally
what you're watching, and then you get more of it. But then when you go and you actually use the tools inside the app, whether or not that's being surfaced.
It's funny you say that because I have instances where I do have to like report certain comments, right, that we get because it is what it is. And it's amazing the lack of what Instagram or what Meta, whatever, what they're able, probably not what they're able to do, because they're probably able to do whatever it is, block these people or restrict whatever. But when you go to report them, it's really very broad, and usually nothing comes of it. It's almost like you can get the keyboard warriors, right? You go on and these people can say whatever they want with no repercussions. Nothing happens from it. And, you do what you can, I guess, on our end from the social media side. But like, what's the solution to that?
What's the solution to social media?
Well, I mean, I guess that's a crazy question, but what's the solution to minimize the amount of, like, every day you're seeing videos of hate out there and the bullying on social media. Like, where do we start?
I mean, let's just start with people, right? Let's start talking about whether or not you're interacting with a person on the other end, right? I don't know if you remember when social media like first came out, like it was college campus stuff. You knew all the people, right?
Everybody was friends with Tom on MySpace.
Wait, other than Tom though, I knew everybody else in my MySpace list, right? And so like, and I mean, some of that stuff was like you were ranking your friends or whatever. That doesn't seem like a good idea, but like they were all actual human connections.
Totally.
You weren't friending random people on the internet, like, but you would make a connection around a hobby or, some sort of common interest. And like, that was really good for some things and also helped bring people with, biased attitudes and extreme views from across the globe together. So it's a tool and it can be used the way the user intends, right? And so you have that problem to begin with, but now no one's convinced me that I'm talking to a person on the other end. So like, how do we restore that trust? Where like, I know if I follow a person that I've met in real life, right, and I'm keeping up with them, and if I message them, then I'm talking to a person, right? But I think increasingly we're all having conversations deliberately, like with these chatbots, and we know they're not a person.
We have this conversation all the time, like on the radio. We'll talk about like how you'll get even a text now from like a number. It's like, hey, what time are you coming over? It's like, I don't know who this is.
Right. But so like, I mean, those things are created. They're like, we invented them, right? Like, and so even now the question of like, what's in my feed is going to move in like, what answer am I getting in my conversation?
Sure.
Right. Because that's being programmed as well. And so, and you're starting to see this work from our Center on Technology and Society, like where they just did like a big comparison on the war in Iran, where you go and you ask all your favorite chatbots in English, what's going on over there?
Okay.
And then you go and ask them all in Farsi, what's going on over there? And you're getting different results.
Interesting.
Right.
Interesting.
And where ones that are not in English, that aren't addressed towards an American audience, are playing into different tropes about Jews. Right. And so, like, this is a massive problem on a global scale, and ranking these bots on who's giving accurate information.
Wow.
And what kind of, what kind of user experience.
So you're saying like a lot of the things you're dealing with is like the answers you're getting depends a lot who's asking the question.
Well, I mean, we could both open one of those apps right now and ask it the same question and get two different answers.
Right. But you're saying as far as like, even like in the regards of hate and anti-Semitism, it's it knows who you are and knows like the answer that you're gonna want to hear from AI.
I don't know if it knows that. All we were able to show is that if you ask it the same thing in 2 different languages, you're already getting something different, right?
Yeah.
I don't know even it can't be there are billions of people on these things. How
it's-
do you even begin to comprehend all the different answers that people are getting, right?
It's crazy. You have younger kids. How do you feel? How do you just feel in general about the world that they're like? You're obviously raised them Jewish, and they're a part of the Jewish community. Your wife is a part of the Jewish community in a big way, working at the J. How do you go about day to day to ensure that like the youth these days are now going to be thrown these different, hateful situations growing up? Like, does that ever worry you? Do you have concern? Like, how do you prepare your children for the world that they're growing up in? Because tell me if I'm wrong, like people are now saying like it's obviously not cool, but like for whatever reason, the world or the people that have the hate in the world have portrayed like it's cool to be anti-Semitic again, right? Like you brought up October 7th, like after that, it was almost like now people are not afraid to like put it out there, their feelings towards Jewish people. Like, how do you prepare your children for that?
And there's definitely a generational divide when it comes towards attitudes towards Jews. Our Center on Antisemitism publishes research, plenty of other surveys out there, where you see that older adults, especially older Americans, have more positive views of Israel. They have more positive views of Jewish people, and you can see a drop off with the younger generation.
Yeah.
If you start peeling back a lot of those numbers, there's some really interesting bits and pieces in there about if you maybe say the word Zionist versus put the definition of Zionism to a younger person, you might find a lot of people actually supporting the definition of Zionism being against the label, right? And so a lot of that is kind of like what it's like to be young, to reject a label, but to have an idea or an ideal. And so I don't think it's all bad news, but there's definitely a generational problem where we need to worry about it. That said, like, it's easy to look at it and say it's never been worse. It's like, tell my great grandparents that it's never been worse and start with telling them there's a state of Israel in the first place.
Sure.
Right. This idea that, like we're living through a moment and because it's our personal experience, we have to say that this is the worst it's ever been. I think that one of the things I'm always encouraged by is the response to it. Is a lot of people just don't understand what we're going through. When I go and meet with a lawmaker or testify in a committee hearing or something like that, and I'm bringing new information to a group of people who, like, the entire legislative body is not Jewish, right? Nobody has that experience. You go to the hearing and you testify and you tell them why the bill is important to you, what's happening in the Jewish community and how this would affect and how it applies to everybody else and why it would be broadly good for society and not just us. People just don't know what they don't know. Right. And so a lot of times we show up and we say, hey, we need this. And they say, oh, okay. I didn't know. Right. Like, it's not like, oh, no, not that. It's, oh, okay. Like, and so the participating in the process, like democracy, it's a good place to be Jewish. And the more we show up and like, warts and all with all our flaws and disagree with each other and the whole bit, like the more we show up together and say, actually, like these couple of things we can all agree on, they're important and we would like you to please pay attention to them. I think we've seen a lot of positive direction. ADL publishes a Jewish Policy Index.
Okay.
We rate every state's like policies and enforcement for responding to anti-Semitism. Won't prevent it necessarily, but for responding to it. And this year, Missouri went from the middle category, like a yellow progressing state, to the green category, a leading state in fighting anti-Semitism because of a lot of hard work, not just by ADL, but groups across the state and throughout our community.
Yeah.
So you can choose to look at this one as glass half empty. We are living through a moment. I can bring those numbers to prove it.
Yeah.
But
so you are saying like,
but how do you talk to children? Right. Well, you have to give them hope and something to be in favor of, not just something to be against.
I mean, what does it ever scare you, the things that you see?
What do you mean?
Like, are there surprises for you these days? Like in your role, like, is there ever something that comes across your desk where you are surprised, or is that just part of that's just part of it?
It's always tricky to predict what's gonna resonate with people. It's usually the smaller things. Something that you'd look at and you'd be like, this is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't always get picked up. Like in a conversation online, in the press, what have you, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then like something will happen in like a first or third grade school event. And for 6 weeks, nobody can talk about anything else. Right. And I think what always surprised me is what resonates
Mm-hmm.
the most, not like not the depth that humanity can go to,
Right.
right? But like what we all choose to care about together as opposed to one-on-one.
What is the most rewarding? Because I know we talk like the job, the ADL itself is positive because you're out there advocating for the Jewish people. Some of the things that you're having to advocate for maybe aren't always joyful things, right? Like anti-Semitism's horrible. Are there things that bring you joy though within what you do and like that really make it all worth it? Like at the end, you go and you educate a group of students. Like talk about the feeling for you when you feel, hey, we've accomplished something or we're seeing growth. Like you talked about those numbers, like in Missouri improving. Like how do you take a step back for a second from everything going on and find like the positive? Is that exactly what it is? You take the positive for what it is, or does it go deeper than that?
I mean, my favorite part about the job is the people I work with and the people I get to meet. Um, like you've never seen a group of people this big at ADL, like where everyone's cool.
Yeah.
Like that is a big part of it. That's why
You guys are cool.
Well,
Also.
no, but like a lot of like it's why you stay. You're working with people on
Sure.
hard problems. Like sometimes you'll see me, but you don't see 15 people working on the same thing.
No.
Right. And like there really are 15 people working on this thing. And I can say that for almost everything we do. So like you get to work with amazing people. You get to meet amazing people all the time. I get to travel throughout my region. I get to go to national conferences, and it's just nothing but meeting people who are passionate and they care about this work and they want to find out what they can do and how they can be supportive and how they can get involved. But like for a sense of accomplishment, like, Governor Kehoe signed 2 laws that we were in favor of. One of them, right? Like, I mean, one of them we worked on for years, like, and seeing something like from start to finish.
Can you talk about like those laws specifically?
Yeah. So just the other week, he signed what we call Unmask Hate. It was part of an omnibus public safety bills in Senate Bill 1421, I believe was the number.
Okay.
There were a lot of amendments in there. One of them was ours. And this was a product of, so like we have a regional board here. They took a position on this issue. They reaffirmed our commitment to be against mass intimidation and harassment. That's what the law prohibits.
Okay. So what would be an example of that?
That would be concealing your identity in order to intimidate somebody. So think like these laws came out of the 60s during the height of the Ku Klux Klan.
Okay.
When people were concealing their identity and intimidating people. And it's like, okay, believe whatever you want, say whatever you want. You have the right to congregate, but we have the right to know who you are. When I put something out there, I sign my name, right? I'll sign my name in the paper. I'm talking to you on camera, right?
Yeah.
I'm taking accountability for what I'm saying. And we expect everybody else to. And so, I mean, our report here took a position on it that we sent our delegation to the National ADL Commission. They had the whole debate over it. They took this policy on the behalf of the organization. The campaign was launched in partnership with the National Urban League. We rolled this out. I think they launched it in New York, but they rolled it out in a number of places across the country. We saw it introduced for the first time in December. It was pre-filed and like go through the entire legislative process,
Right.
all the committee hearings, both chambers.
And you're like part of all this along the way.
So I get to testify on behalf of this stuff. Like I get to to bring the advocates to the Capitol
Sure.
who are there to lobby their own lawmakers.
Yeah.
Right. That they're there to advocate to their
Right.
own lawmakers. So I get to help organize that kind of stuff and to put ADL on the record for it. That's a privilege and speak on behalf of the organization. But then I also get to go to the bill signing. Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've been in there, but like, there's no velvet rope or whatever. You just like they'll just lay you in the room and walk around and say hi and shake everybody's hand. And, the governor signs your bill and like, there's 25 other amendments in there, right? It's a big bill. There's a lot of people in the room, but like that'll give you a sense of the accomplishment, something you spent a couple of years on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's, it starts with the people on our board. It starts with our volunteers and the people who've been with this organization longer than me. Right. And it's them who initiate the process, who get to do all the advocacy, right? And just being there to enable all of it and seeing the whole thing through from start to finish, put a smile on anybody's face.
How is your background in politics play into a lot of that? Like, does that make you as a person more qualified? Like, because you know the ins and out of like what's going on in those rooms, does that like give you the upper edge to get in there and fight for what you're trying to get past?
Probably not. I think the closest analogy is like the volunteer management, right? So like campaigns have a lot of volunteers. We have to marshal a lot of volunteers to get this kind of stuff done. But like, I think what's different about this is that it's not just ADL coming together. It's us coming together with all of the other organizations. Our Missouri Jewish Community Advocacy Day has grown from 10 or 12 people to over 100, right? And will continue to grow because more and more organizations are coming together.
Sure.
Not because,
which is great,
we're cold calling people and begging them to take a shift.
Yeah.
We're bringing the places where people belong. We're not saying come join us. We're saying let's all come together and work on it together. Yeah.
Right. Which more people need to do, and I think just day-to-day life in general
is harder than it sounds.
Well, it's like I was talking to somebody about this the other day. It's like, why can't we? You're going to sell something, and you know that this person needs what you're selling, but like you can't agree on a price, whatever that may be. It's like I feel like we've lost sight of like just everybody. Why can't everybody come to a compromise and there's a win-win somehow? Like. At a point, yes, where money is great and this, that, and the other, right? But at what point does it just like think about how much time we spend in the world wasting the back and forth before we finally land on something that we knew we were gonna probably already land on to begin with. And it's just so much back and forth where, like you said, the way you guys are doing it's like, let's just come together and work together and just like get to the end goal quicker so then we can move on to the next thing and make improvements on that as well.
Well, I think that, fundamentally it's two different things, right? In the market, you're looking for a price point, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a free market society and I'm glad. I'd rather live here than somewhere where, the government's dictating the price of stuff.
Right.
So like, that's what you have to deal with. But I think it's better than the alternatives. When you're trying to bring people together to advocate on behalf of a policy, the strength of a good policy, of good public policy, it's about how many people it brings into the process, not about who it pushes out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so even if there's something that's important to the Jewish community, that's maybe even good for the Jewish community, if it's not good for other communities, good luck getting a bunch of non-Jewish lawmakers to vote the way you want them to on it. Right. So it has to be good for a lot of people, even if it's more important to some people than others.
Do you feel like you're the Jewish connector in town?
Hardly. I don't know anybody. Really just it's head down and focused on the work. There are a lot of places you can go in town where people would love to make a match. But that is not the business I'm in.
Fair enough. I want to ask a little bit about your personal life as well. Family traditions. You said you were raised Orthodox.
No, I said I went to an Orthodox day school.
So you were not raised Orthodox.
I don't know, maybe some years.
The-ish?
Probably not quite.
What, well, how was the way you were raised similar to how you're raising and the traditions that you have within your own family now?
Well, I'm sure like a lot of families, big families have people who have all sorts of different observances. I have family members who are raised Orthodox and family members who are non-observant and everything in between.
Siblings? You have siblings?
I do have siblings, but I feel comfortable going anything from Reformed to Orthodox conservative or anything in between. I think one of the things that like the through lines over the course of my life, like you can go somewhere in a completely foreign country where you don't speak the language, and you can find the synagogue and you can go for services, right? And you may not find anybody in there who speaks English even, but you will find somebody who speaks Hebrew, and the service will be the same because you can follow a prayer book, right? You go to a day school, you learn how to follow the prayer book, you know where the order of the service and what comes next. Can't understand the sermon in Spanish or Hungarian, right? But like I can follow the service and I can, and the traditions are the same. Even a lot of the foods are similar, even if it's different culturally. So like you can even go to the Kiddush, right? Yeah. And so having those commonalities across all of the streams, I think is like, that is something that there is a diversity there. Like there's a cultural diversity or a religious diversity in there, but it's also like that unifying factor. Like these are the things that make a people, right? The shared language and culture and history. And so the traditions are myriad throughout the community, and that's probably a good thing.
You talked about the food. What's your favorite go-to dish, I guess, Jewish cuisine that you either grew up loving, that, you know, your family made at every holiday that you would have, or something that you continue to have at your family Jewish holidays?
I was born here, but I was raised in Texas. You should try Jewish brisket in Texas. That
is it barbecue?
It's smoked, but the Texas chop. It's not just a slice, right? Like I mean, if you want to see brisket done right, you need to go to like a Passover Seder in Texas.
But it's done. It's like done in the oven, like, or on the grill. What are we doing?
I think smoker. Yeah.
No, I've never had.
You have to do a little sear so you can shorten the cooking time. Otherwise, you'll be there for a little while. But
and that's the best.
That's
do you ever do like? How do you have that? Do you do it today?
I don't know if you've seen the Missouri weather, but to leave a smoker going for a couple of days, you're going to need the right, a little bit of extra luck.
I was going to say, so that's like strictly when you're like down in Texas, that's what you'll.
Well, I miss it. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Is there something that you have a specialty, like yourself?
Do I have a specialty? No, I do a fair amount of cooking, but I'm a utilitarian, mostly component cooking. I can take care of pretty much anything you throw my way.
Do you do sour cream or applesauce on the latke?
Neither.
Really?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I wish Ben was here to hear this.
Well,
why? You made kind of a face like...
The applesauce doesn't last very long in my refrigerator, so it's never around when you need it.
Okay.
And I don't think that I've served... I don't think I've served a latke with like a milk dish. So that's... Yeah, so I haven't seen any sour cream on a table.
I guess that makes... it's not kosher, is it?
I mean... it's not that I'm so strict or whatever, but but old habits died hard.
I guess that makes, right over my head. I wouldn't know the difference. That's why I'm educated about this. Or I get educated
if you want to get educated about this, talk to a rabbi, not to me.
You don't consider yourself... I was talking to somebody last week, and they said a rabbi is just another word for a teacher.
Yeah, but I think that at least in my life, a rabbi is not just been somebody who's a teacher, but somebody who's like scholarly and that you can go to not for answers, but for direction on the question, right? Like, and this is somebody who, the community values and respects so much that they put all, that they're willing to support the scholarship, not just the leadership in, on Saturday morning or whenever you go, right? So like, that's somebody who's there for you in a different way. And,
yes.
And I have the good fortune in ADL of being there for you if something happens, but I'm not going to be, when the incident happens and we do what we can, and the person who's someone's a victim or whatever, they're going to have to go somewhere else to heal.
Yeah.
While we move on to the next one because we're handling too many.
Sure.
don't put the full social service on us. That's not what we're here to provide.
Yeah. What? Because I know we got just a few more minutes, but I want to just know, like, for you, what's next? Like, where do you hope you can have the biggest impact and continue to make Missouri's numbers, but obviously not just Missouri's numbers, but all across the United States of the world? I mean, that's obviously a huge goal where we'd want everybody in the world, but who doesn't say that they want world peace? But like for you, what's all of this look like? What can we all expect?
I mean, right direction, too much work to do, right? So let's get to work, right? What's next? I don't know, but this is not done yet. But if we see things going in the right direction, and we should hone and focus and stay on top of this problem until it is back where it needs to be. From either side, this hatred is becoming, it's just like you were saying earlier, it's just out in the open, right? All of a sudden in the last couple of years, and it should go back. You can think whatever you're like. You're entitled to your opinions. You're entitled to say what you want and to congregate. But there is a point where, choosing to do it and targeting individuals, like, these are actions. They're not just words.
Yeah.
And people are accountable for their actions here. That you have that freedom of thought.
Yeah.
You are accountable for your actions.
Yeah. It is. It's just unbelievable. Like we've continued to say, like, it's just out in the public and people have really no shame. And I know that, like, whether it's employers looking at different things and what people are doing with their social media or in people's personal lives, I guess to each his own, and they can put that out there if they want to. But like, I agree with you. It's like, have thoughts, have opinions, but you don't necessarily always need to share those thoughts and opinions, because it does spark and fuel a fire outside of just what I mean, I won't go down completely down the road of it, but like, you look at what Kanye did a couple of years ago, like all of those different things. It was like, I was trying to explain to friends that like didn't necessarily understand how deep it went, but like, even the fact that whoever aired the Super Bowl commercial a couple of years ago, where like it went, you typed in the site and it went, and there was like a swastika on the website, from what I remember. And it's like, those are just crazy things to me. That's like how one thing fuels the other, and there's not somebody within the TV company that's putting a stop to this, or like taking accountability and saying, hey, we shouldn't have run that ad. I think that's something to me that like stuck out from, I know that was a few years back, but then you fast forward to like the Super Bowl this year, where I think Robert Kraft paid for an anti-hate ad maybe the last couple of years. But people aren't afraid to put it out there, and it's unbelievable. And I think that it's like you said, what you guys are doing to help educate people, what we're doing here on the podcast, hopefully educates people that, again, like, why hate the Jewish people? Why hate the Jews? Like, why?
Listen, we have a lot of really smart, over-credentialed people who are asking why and what to do, and I'm really glad that's their corner of the store, because I've got enough what on my plate to handle at the moment. But a few years ago when that started, we ran a campaign called "Run Away from Hate," because you can believe whatever you want. It doesn't mean you should be able to profit off of it. This, and we're allowed to participate in this conversation as well. And we're really proud that we announced a partnership with the Blue Square Alliance. I got a fresh batch of Blue Square pins sitting in my office and ready for the next event. And it's you'll see their logo on our materials, on our education materials coming out soon. It's pretty cool. And I think that's what we need more of, is more people collaborating, more people coming together. That is what you do about this.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it. As many people who are saying that they feel afraid to wear a Star of David in public, you have other people just pulling them out of their shirts.
Yeah.
Right. The uptick in people participating in Jewish life where they didn't before, right, is something that should be celebrated.
Sure.
And so it's last year, like I said, with the numbers, it was a violent year. The numbers are not down where they should be. They're still way, way up. And so we have a lot more work to do. But you can't lose sight of where we're going. You can't just get buried with it all. You really have to find a way to keep hope and to live your life.
But you feel good about the direction that we can go together to get to where we need to be.
I think that it takes fewer people to make change than everybody thinks it does. And I think that our American history is just full of people coming together to make a difference.
Yeah.
And we see it time and again. And these moments have risen throughout our history, and we've always managed to overcome them. And, it's still better to be, in a lot of ways, like we're going through this period of discrimination where the incidents are targeting us. But like there used to be in this country, hotels that wouldn't let Jews in, or neighborhoods where Jews weren't allowed to buy property, or firms that wouldn't hire Jews. Right. And so you have to take a deep breath and work the problem that's in front of you. And I think that we have a lot of dedicated people at ADL who are doing just that. And increasingly we're doing it together with more and more organizations throughout the community. And like, that's a great time to be working on this despite the circumstances.
Yeah. I think you kind of just said it, but like one final thing, like what would you tell the people how can we help? How can people help?
It starts from yourself. People ask me what to do about social media. Well, before you reply, ask yourself if you're in a good space to reply.
Yeah.
Right. How do you know, like, how to stand up for other people, whether it's your community or others? Well, it starts with knowing who you are, so that you can understand what it's like when you impact somebody else's life based on an aspect of their identity. Right. So much of this just starts from people knowing who they are, and so they don't feel like they're giving something up when somebody else has something.
Sure.
And that is not that's not necessarily like a natural inclination. It's something that we need to find a way to show more people how to do.
Yeah. Well, I think obviously the ADL, what you do makes an incredible impact, whether it's behind the scenes, in front of the camera, whatever it is. But I think that, anybody that listens to this, I think ask the questions, ask the schools. How many schools, I want to wrap with that. How many schools are like part of the program where they let you come in and teach and make this part of their curriculum?
For No Place for Hate?
Yes.
So we're lucky to have the entire Ladue School District. We've got the entire Afton School District. We have several other individual schools that aren't the entire district. Muscoda, Illinois. We have schools signed up out in Kansas City. But we would love to have more schools signed up. So if registration is open.
Yeah. And parents could ask what the principals, the superintendent, like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we have over the summer, we have a bunch of opportunities for superintendents to tune in and talk to our experts directly.
Okay.
And not just deal with me, but like a real professional educator.
You're an expert.
So that they can kind of hear not just what it'll mean for the institution and the kind of impact it can drive throughout their school communities, but also, teachers got a lot to do. We put a lot of burden on them.
Yeah.
In our
society. My wife's a 5th grade teacher at Ladue, so
just being asked to do everything and also buy our own supplies. The amount that we ask teachers to do is a lot, and so showing that we're adding value instead of giving them one more box to check, that's the trick. So any teacher, anytime who's open to a conversation about that, would be happy to have it.
It's awesome. Where one more time, where can people go?
ADL.org. You can look up your local office, and because I know this is called In the Loop, but I guess
it's
you
in
can
the
get
loop.
it
We're
anywhere.
in the loop, but it could go. It's like we said, social media. I don't know where it's going.
Yeah, you can go anywhere. So you can look up your local office at ADL.org, including the Heartland office, which is here in St. Louis. And we're on social media too. But reach out, click a button, sign up for a newsletter, and get to know the people in your local office. We got board members, we got staff members across the country who are just who are dedicated to this work. And we're fortunate enough to get to do it during the day so we can sleep soundly at night. and make sure that you get to do what you want during the day and don't have to worry about
that was what I was
stuff.
going to ask. Does your phone ever ring in the middle of the night with an incident?
But my phone's on. Let's just put it that way.
There's things that happen 24 hours a day.
My phone's on. What's important to other people is important to them, and
Yeah.
it's important to be able to be responsive.
Yeah.
But it's not what somebody might consider an emergency may or may not be an emergency, but it's important to them, and that's totally understandable.
That's fair. Well, I appreciate you coming in and talking about this. I'm sure you never get sick of talking about something that's helping a large group of people, and that's what you do. You advocate for us. We appreciate you. I know I appreciate what you do. I think I speak on behalf of all the other Jews in St. Louis that appreciate what you do, and the region. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate you sitting down. Was there something else anything else you had to add?
And when we launch the sign up for Advocacy Day again in 2027, make sure you run it on your show. Let people know where the link is, and come with us.
Yeah,
and see what making a difference looks like. We always bring lunch.
And lunch will get lunch will get us. And speak out, and don't be afraid like we're doing right here. We're Jewish. We're normal people.
Yeah.
Speak out and advocate for yourself. I think all the time.
Absolutely.
So, Jordan, we appreciate you, and yeah, we'll definitely, any information you have, we will put it out on Jews in Lieu. We hope we can make a difference, as much of a difference as you are, although I think we're quite a bit behind you guys, but anything we can do, we appreciate you, and I appreciate you. This is both audio and video, so I think you look great today.
Well, that's really unfortunate for the audience. Maybe they'll just cut to your reaction the whole time, and it'll be okay.
There we go. I appreciate you. Thanks again, man.
Take care.
Yep.